Apple updates galore, and universal control. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Zocdoc. Find local doctors who take your insurance. Learn more at Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by New Relic. Monitor, debug, and improve your entire stack. Get access to the whole New Relic platform and 100 gigabytes of data free forever. No credit card required. Sign up at newrelic.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it is Tuesday night. It is 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We are MacVoices live on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We'd love to have you join us in the chat room. We have a number of our friends in there already, and it appears like more are showing up all the time. We do this every Tuesday night, so if you miss it and hear this later in the feeds, just look at your calendar because we'll be here Tuesday nights. No question about it. Tonight, we have just a couple things we wanted to talk about. The first one being the new updates that Apple released for almost all of their major products. And we're not going to dig too deep into that just because it's been all over the Mac web. There are articles everywhere. So I was curious to find out what our panel's experience has been so far, if they've even installed anything. But before we do that, we're going to get to the introduction of the panel, and then we'll start talking about updates. So taking the screen as it appears, as I always do, Mr. David Ginsburg is up first. David, welcome. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me, Chuck. Great to be here. It's Tuesday night, and we're ready to have some fun. And I think got some good topics. And it's been a crazy week, and it's only Tuesday.
Yeah, it feels like a crazy week, and it's only Tuesday. Yeah, right there with you.
Thanks for having me.
Mr. Mark Fuccio is quoting Shakespeare for the day. Mark, great to have you.
Hi, Chuck. This was fun. Today is March 15th, the Ides of March. Looms large in history. This was the day Julius Caesar was stabbed to death in the Roman Senate, as memorialized by Billy Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. And that play has a lot of quotes, and I really am fond of the scene where Mark Antony eulogizes Caesar and goes out and completely turns the crowd from condemning Caesar to supporting him and turning against the assassins. So it's a fascinating piece of maybe 100 words of prose. So there's that, and there's a lot of other great quotes that people are familiar with that all hail from this play. So it's great that we get to record on the Ides of March.
Do I have anything to worry about, Mark? Should I be watching my back?
Well, in the play, the soothsayer warns Caesar in advance, Caesar, beware the Ides of March. And on that day, and he's going in, Caesar sees him, and he says, he just sees the soothsayer, and he says, the Ides of March are come. And then the soothsayer replies back to him ominously. He says, yes, but they are not yet gone. So this show could do you in, Chuck.
It felt like the day was going to do me in, Mark. So, and it's not over yet. So, you heard it here first, folks.
Are you dealing products from Red from Oregon? From not Oregon, Washington, from Redland.
Oh, don't even. Also here, once again, sporting the Ukrainian flag as a background, Mr. Jim Ray. Jim, welcome. Great to have you.
Thank you. Looks like Mark's got Ukrainian flags also.
That's true. Yeah, we were concentrating more on Shakespeare with his, but yours is just so bright and bold that it's really attention-getting.
Well, that's good. I thought about changing it, but I thought, no, it's still going on, and I think we need to remember that.
I agree. We've said it a couple times here on the show, but we try to have some fun here on the show. But that particular subject is really serious, and it's very near and dear to our hearts because we have friends, Mac developers, people in the Apple community that we all know personally that are literally under the gun. And so our thoughts are with them. Absolutely. Sometimes if you stop and think about it, you just can't imagine what it must be like. You see it in the movies, and it's always somebody else, and it's always somewhere else in both time and space. And this one's very, very real. So, so with that very grim introduction, Mr. Jeff Gamet is here. Sorry, Jeff, didn't mean to bring it down right before I introduced you.
Hey, it's so great to be here. Well, actually, since Mark brought up Caesar, I feel it's only fair to lament the fact that the Kaiser, who gets his title from Caesar, is the person behind the fact that I lament this time every year because I have such a horrible time with the time change. Because the Kaiser started using daylight saving time during World War I to save fuel for German troops, and somehow we have managed to adopt the whole daylight saving thing and create a situation where every year at this time, I have no idea of what day it is, what time it is, or what show I'm on. But hey, it's great to see you on whatever show you're doing.
I did not know that, Jeff. I did not know that the Kaiser was worse. I thought it was the Marquis de Sade who is getting his jollies every year after this.
Oh, I'm sure that Marquis de Sade finds this to be an absolutely delicious time of year.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Jeff, do you say your little saying on every show, or is that just our show?
That's you mean my rant about daylight savings time?
No, the thing you say at the beginning of the show, which I shall not repeat.
Which we try to start the show.
Oh, no, that's special just for Chuck.
So that means you do know what show you're on.
Well, I see Chuck, so it's a Pavlovian reflex. I mean, for all I know, we're doing In Touch with iOS, and Chuck is one of the guests.
Gee, Jeff, that went so wrong. I can't even count the ways.
Or maybe it went so right.
I'm not sure.
We love you, Jeff.
Yeah. So, guys, it was really interesting. I think, we've been waiting for this, and it's kind of become an event now. When Apple updates something, it seems like they update just about everything. So we had updates for the Mac, all the iPad and iPhones, watch, TV. I think I saw HomePods out there. Yep. Has anybody installed any of these, and how did it go? Mark?
Yes. I'm not sure if the HomePods updated themselves. Presumably they have. I'll know when I go and try them to see if they work, or as is customary, I seem to need to power cycle them every time Apple does an update. So I did purposefully do an update on both my iPad and my iPhone, and iPad went smoothly. iPhone, I was very intrigued by their feature of doing facial ID while wearing a mask, and we were discussing in the pre-show that when you first open the app, it leads you right into a dialogue panel session to do that, and you start it, and basically you rotate your head around so it can do all its measurements, and it tells you take off your eyeglasses. So you do that, and then you scan your face twice, and then it's done. And then at the little bottom they have a little menu item you can click to do the same thing with eyeglasses. So I click that, and then it instructs you put your glasses on, put the glasses on, and it goes through the rotate motion sort of dialogue. And what's the first thing it says is make sure you don't have anything in front of your eyes. So I don't know if the reports about Apple's software quality sucking are true or not, but in this case it's really comical. So I tried it second time, same message. Did it a third time. This time I purposely just started to do the head rotation thing, and then it seems like it started, giving the feedback as it does in that sort of that clock face. And then it had me do it again. And then it said, you're all set up and ready to go. Well, I did that just a little while before the show started. So I'll know tomorrow when I'm out and about somewhere if it's actually worked or not. And I hope so, because that would be a really great and useful feature. And that's probably the only feature I seem to have top of mind memory of that's new to the iPhone. So with that, I'm interested in the updates to the iPad, what do they call it, universal control, because I've used the iPad as a secondary screen sometimes. This seems like it's a little bit of sugar and a cherry on top that, now you could actually control what's on that, from your mouse and keyboard or on your Mac or, tablet and keyboard on your Mac. Not quite sure how I would use it yet, but it looks like an interesting feature, and maybe we can talk about it and revisit it in a couple of weeks when everybody has an opportunity to do updates and experiments.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the universal control feature if it works as advertised. Who else installed? I think David.
I
did you say
installed across the board.
You did? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
You and Brad in the chat room said he installed across the board. You installed across the board too.
I did as well.
Day one. Oh man, you guys are brave. Okay, so how did it go? Any problems?
No, it went fine. It took a while, but I was expecting that because I've been running iOS or iPad OS beta on my. Hey, Cat says hi. On my 10-inch iPad Pro. So I already knew what to expect with the update there, and it took a while. But once everything was installed, it's all running fine. Like Mark, I haven't had a chance to actually test the new unlock with face mask, which now that I think about it is actually kind of silly because there's nothing to stop me from putting my face mask on in my living room and just trying it out. Yeah. But so far, everything is working fine. The bugs that I've always had with my HomePods are still there. So those are just as unreliable as they've always been. But universal control, it so far is living up to my expectation, and I expect that my prediction that this will be a game changer for the way I use my Mac and my iPad is spot on.
Well, Jeff, I'm sure that Cupertino doesn't want to fix everything and take away some of your old favorite friends for your HomePods.
I'm sure that's what it is. And I'm sure that Apple keeps the thing where another window or a dialog can take focus from whatever window you currently have selected. They keep that in the operating system just to spite me.
Relative to HomePods, do you have bugs that are of sufficient seriousness that you would comment of them here for us and other listeners? Or are there other things that are idiosyncratic and annoying to you?
Okay, so the problems that I have consistently, anecdotally, seem to be problems that are wider spread. Because when I complain about my problems on Twitter or Facebook, I consistently get replies from different people saying I have the same problem, and it's so frustrating. So one of the problems is that Siri is just unreliable on the HomePods. And oftentimes we'll say things like there are no HomeKit devices set up, and so you need to go and set those up, even though I have a whole house full of HomeKit going on. Go to play a playlist on HomePod, and the first song in the playlist plays for about 5 seconds, and then it's just silent. And then for the rest of that track, it's just silent. Then the next song kicks in and plays just fine. And then issues where the HomePod just stops being responsive. So much so that I have a HomePod and 2 HomePod minis, and all 3 of them are on Wemo switches. So I can tell the Echo to turn off the HomePods and turn them back on. I have to power cycle them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. As I alluded to, I have that problem. The previous software release, I think they did one over the holidays. So prior to that, it was probably like 40 or 50% of the time I'd tell it to play news, and it would pause, and then either nothing would happen, or it would pause and then come back. Oh, I'm having problems connecting to the internet. Well,
yep, that's a common one.
Yeah, my phone in the pocket and the Macs and everything. There's no difficulty at all. Those seem to have gotten better. Since that update, there's been a little bit of just wonkiness on starting some news shows, and then getting confused with the news shows. Getting confused. Thinking I want to play an album or song instead of KQED or something like that, or NPR.
Sure, I have that problem with artists where I'll ask my HomePod to play a specific artist, and one day it will play the correct artist, and the next day it will consistently not. It will pick some other artist, and there's just no way to get the HomePod to play the correct artist. But then the day after that, it'll be fine again.
This edition of MacVoices is supported by Zocdoc. Find local doctors who take your insurance. No one knows what you're looking for in a doctor better than you. And no one's better at giving you the tools to find the perfect doctor than Zocdoc. The people who created Zocdoc found the major pain points in healthcare, all the things that weren't working, and said, enough. And they made booking a great doctor surprisingly pain-free. Zocdoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. Every month, millions of people use Zocdoc. You should be next. Why? You can find out about the doctor you're considering through verified patient reviews. You can book a time slot that works for you right from the Zocdoc site. You can decide whether you want to see the doctor in person or in a virtual visit. And you can find out whether the doctor is in-network for you instead of finding out when you're in the doctor's office. All that adds up to a better experience. And you want a better experience when you need to see a doctor. Go to Zocdoc.com/MacVoices and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's Zocdoc, ZocDoc.com/MacVoices. Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Zocdoc for their support of MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by New Relic. Monitor, debug, and improve your entire stack. Get all the details at newrelic.com/MacVoices. If you're a software engineer, you've been there. It's 9 p.m., you're finally unwinding from work, your phone buzzes with an alert, something's broken, and your mind's already racing at what could be wrong. Is it the back end or the front end? Is it global? Is it the cloud provider? Do we have slow-running queries? Now the whole team's scrambling from tool to tool and messaging person after person to find and fix the issue. That won't happen if you get New Relic. New Relic puts 16 different monitoring products that you would normally buy separately in your hands to help you see across your entire software stack in one place. That makes it easy to pinpoint issues down to the line of code. You will know exactly why the problem happened and can resolve it quickly. That's why the dev and ops teams at over 14,000 companies like DoorDash and GitHub, and a host of Fortune 500 companies, use New Relic to debug and improve their software. That next 9 p.m. call is just waiting to happen. Get New Relic before it does. And you can get access to the whole New Relic platform and 100 gigabytes of data free forever, no credit card required. Sign up at newrelic.com/MacVoices. That's New Relic, NEWRELIC.com/MacVoices. newrelic.com/MacVoices. Thanks to New Relic for their support of MacVoices. Jeff, you alluded to it, but I want to make sure. So you've installed the HomePod updates, or you know that the HomePods have been updated as well?
Yes, I did update my HomePods right away.
Okay.
In hopes that the ongoing issues I have would go away.
Interesting.
Hopes failed.
They did.
Yeah, I have to say I've not had nearly the trouble with HomePods that you all have, and frankly, the times that it's played an artist I didn't want, usually I attribute it to me just not being maybe as clear as I could be. You know, maybe I mumbled a little bit or was in another room or something, no matter how good the mics are, and so I get something strange coming out. But once I get a little closer and correct it, they've been very, very good. And I've got two of the regular size HomePods and then two of the minis. So, but everybody's experiences differ.
Yeah. I mean, universal control. That's the bomb.
I got to start using it.
Yeah, I want to come back to that, Jeff. David, though, you said you updated everything. You had no issues.
Everything across the board. HomePods will generally update on their own, or you also go into the HomeKit app and then just run it, which I just did. I just noticed that they didn't update yet, so those are running right now. But I did everything across the board. And like I was talking about pre-show, Monterey is such a difference. There's such a difference of how it upgrades compared to it had in the past, Big Sur and Catalina, where you go in and it comes up and say it's in there to be updated. And software updates, you click it and then you click. It starts the update and then it downloads it. But then you got to click restart now, and then you got to put your password in, which you didn't used to have to do before. And then it goes back to that screen, and if you could sit and wait, and then it'll start finally rebooting at that point, or you could be impatient, click it again, because I'm sure people do that. And then once it starts to the Apple logo and the bar progress goes, then it just goes. So it is kind of a different method of upgrading than it has been in the past. But I did 13. I did the .3 version on all my Macs, and there's been no problems. It's been fine. iOS, there was no real major issues. I always go to iOS as soon as it's ready. I don't do beta. I don't do beta other than this camera I'm using now, and the X10R is always on beta. So I've experienced it. I have a beta device for Mac and a beta device for iOS. So I see what happens for the most part. If it's super buggy, then I'm going to probably hold off a little bit, but most time I'm always going right away into iOS, especially and do it. I'm kind of like Jeff. We just as soon as they come out, and I made a comment to Jeff. I was chatting with him. I said, "Oh my God, I haven't updated my devices yet," and I know Jeff already had his done, so I fell behind because I was busy. So, but I mean. As far as I'm concerned, I had no problems, and so knock on wood, nothing's been drastic.
The only thing I updated was my phone, just because I had an opportunity to do so. The Macs, I'm always a bit more hesitant, so I want to be sure that there are no major problems out there. Because right now, I'm depending on them way too much and don't want to take any chances.
So I would make a comment on the phone. It seemed a little bit that it seems a little bit faster in terms of switching between, say, Mail and Safari, and switching between tabs in Safari. So I'd be interested if anyone knows if that was an explicit goal of the release, or if that is one of the mysterious performance and stability optimizations and improvements that they always seem to claim that they're making.
Yeah, I don't know. Jim, how about you? We haven't heard from you. Have you updated anything?
You met me?
Yeah. I gather that's a no.
I haven't had any problem with my HomePods because I forgot to buy them.
So you have the most stable HomePods of all.
Wow!
Of us.
Yeah.
I don't have an Echo either.
Well, then how are you going to power cycle the HomePods you don't have?
I know that the face mask unlock is not going to work because I have an iPhone 8.
All right, you have to have at least a 12.
12 or later, yeah.
Well, also, it has Touch ID. It doesn't have a Face ID.
Right.
Mm-hmm. There's that.
So it works great with a mask. I wish that worked with a. Well, I don't know. Has anybody heard anything about this face mask? Does that work with an iPad?
No, because it's only the iPhone.
Well, but my iPhone has Face ID. I've got an iPad Pro. I mean, my iPad Pro works with Face ID. And, that is a problem when, I go out with the iPad and I'm wearing a mask and then it's like, and it doesn't unlock with the watch.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be kind of nice if this face mask, Face ID worked with the iPad. I haven't heard anything about that.
I'm 99% confident that it's an iPhone only feature.
I think you're right, but why?
I'm not belittling that it's or denying that it would be would be useful, but
it would be awesome if it I wear a watch all the time, so and the watch can unlock the Mac, so why can't it unlock an iPad?
I'm with you there, Jim.
So
but it only makes
Tim,
sense.
Get on it.
Yeah. So in the
Apple support article specifically says iPhone.
Yeah, right. I figured.
On the HomePod issue, Eric says none of my speakers are smart, and that's how it will stay.
Well, Eric, you're a very smart person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I genuinely love having my smart speakers, and I have all three flavors. But at the same time, you're such a pain in the butt, and but I still love
I'll
them.
attest to that because I just got a Google Nest doorbell, and I had to have the Google Minis set up because I don't have a ring a chime because my chime broke on my doorbell. So now I got two Google Minis in different locations, including my Google hub here that was just going off because someone rang the doorbell here. So I get that plus Amazon plus So yeah, I'm with you. I have it all, and it drives you crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's a very dysfunctional relationship.
It really is. Yeah, we both experience it all three ways.
Yep.
So does anyone care about the fact that there's a new Siri Voice? I've heard about that on some of the
it sounds
podcast coverage of it, but I haven't.
I care because for some people it will be an easier to hear and understand voice. But other than that, I've already picked the voice that I like and that works well for me. And there you go. Although, now that I think about it, I could set a different Siri voice for the HomePod minis than the HomePod. So when I'm talking, I just have different voice. I need to get a life. That's what it comes down to. I need to get a life.
Well, that actually sounds like a good idea because then you'd know which one was responding.
Yeah, I agree.
It's interesting too. I just enabled it. It's voice 5 of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in American, and it had to download it. It wasn't ready to go, and so
that doesn't surprise me.
Did you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in American?
The voice you'd like me to use.
Yeah. So the voice
American
5 sounds
American Voices. Okay.
American Voices. There's now 5. The 5th one was just added, and it actually sounds a lot cleaner than some of the other ones as far as the S lady, as we call her.
Mm-hmm.
Not as computerized, I guess I could say.
I kind of like something that sounds just a little computerized.
Yeah.
Just so I'm sure that I know what's talking back at me. Brad in the chat room, I think he's a very wise man. He says, I want to stay the smartest device in the home. So
that's great.
Well, considering how my HomePods are performing for me, you have no risk of being outsmarted.
I would like to be the smartest device in the home, but I'm married.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's okay,
Where's my rim shot? I want the rim shot. Oh, Jeff, I want to go back to you though, because I want to explore that just for a second. You say that the universal control is going to change the way that you use your Mac and your iPad.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to understand that. I mean, there are a couple things that I'm kind of intrigued as to how well they will work and all, but why is that going to be such a huge change for you?
Well, for me, it's about workflow. And I have specific tasks that happen on my iPad Pro instead of my Mac, like video editing, for example. So with that example, I have to get video content that I create on my Mac over to my iPad. And so that involves, prior to universal control, airdropping or moving stuff to iCloud Drive or Dropbox and waiting for it to upload, and then going to the iPad and waiting for it to download. And because of the limited space I have on my desk, when I work on my iPad, I get up, go into the other room, and sit at the dining room table and work there. So now what I'll be able to do is have my iPad Pro sitting here, and I can just drag the files from my Mac over to the iPad, and you have to drag them into an app. You can't just like drag them onto the home screen and then have them magically go where they need to go. But I'm not switching input devices. So my hands are on the same keyboard and mouse or keyboard and trackpad, and I'm just moving between them, doing whatever it is I need to do. So what I've done so far, because I figure I need to get comfortable with using the new feature before I start like really implementing it into my workflow. So yesterday and today, I've had my iPad set up, and when I need to do something on my iPad, I just move my cursor over and keep doing my thing as if it's just another screen. And then when I need to switch back to my Mac, then I just move the cursor back over to the display my Mac is using, and it's all just working. And it is instant, and it is seamless, and it is fracking amazing.
So I would back up. What you say makes sense. Why is it that, or what is it about the video editing app on the iPad that makes it preferable to you over one of the apps on Mac?
Because it's LumaFusion, and you can't beat LumaFusion.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I haven't used it, but I've heard a lot of really great things about it.
It's, when I first tried LumaFusion, I tried it because a friend who does a lot of video work, he told me about it, and I really respect his opinion. And he said, "Yeah, you really need to check this out." And so I did, and it took me about 5 minutes from downloading it to being glad that I spent the $20 or $30 on it, whatever it cost.
Another question: as you need to move files over, instead of dropping on an app, if you dropped it on the Files app, would they get stored somewhere locally that you can access it, or is that?
Yes, you can drag stuff into the Files app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There's local storage, and then you can sync it out to the iCloud.
Yep.
The MacVoices live panel is back in the next edition of MacVoices to talk about universal control in depth. Why? 3, 2, 1. The MacVoices panel is back in the next edition of MacVoices to talk about universal control in depth. That's next time on MacVoices, and I hope you'll join us. Until then, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page,
And get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.